Have you ever wanted to take that winter bushcraft trip to the mountains, or just go out and be in the snow, but all you can think about is those cold temperatures and those frozen toes? In this video, we're going to cover a low-cost military surplus option that can get you out in the snow and back home with 10 toes intact. For years, I taught survival and outdoor leadership in the Marine Corps. Now my passion is helping you to develop the skills and techniques required for outdoor recreation. Come along as we explore survival and bushcraft, useful projects, occasional gear reviews, and all manner of field skills. I'm Norseman, and this is Survivology 101. Around the world, militaries have always adopted civilian techniques and equipment to accomplish their mission. Oftentimes, this equipment is heavily modified in materials and construction to meet a rigorous standard. This doesn't always mean that the equipment is better, but in the case of boots, it usually is. Now, when it comes to military cold weather footwear, there are certainly a lot of options on the table. What we're going to talk about today is the Air Force N1B Extreme Cold Weather Mukluk. And it's a perfect example of how the military has taken a lot of creative license in adopting civilian equipment to military service. Originally, the Mukluk design was made from animal hide. Now, this served really well in a dry, cold environment, which was less than 20 degrees. When you get above 20 degrees, the snow tends to get more mushy and contains a lot of moisture. One of the advantages to the Mukluk's outer skin was that it allowed moisture to escape the foot and keep the feet dry and warm. Now, the N1Bs are made out of a canvas duct material, and it does repel moisture better than animal hide, but it's not 100% waterproof. The N1B will serve better in a dry, cold environment, but that doesn't mean that that's the only place you can wear it. Now, the environment that I'm dealing with right here is most certainly a wet, cold environment. The snow is moist, the snow packs really well, but I haven't had any issues with these. Now, they may not be perfect, but they do handle a wet, cold environment better than their animal hide counterparts. Now, I modified mine from the original form by stripping down some Latigo saddle strings and using them as laces. Then I can wrap it around my calves all the way up like the original design. The height of the boot is approximately 17.5 inches, depending on the size that you get. The sole is a glued-on heavy rubber with a moderately aggressive tread, and it does have pretty good traction on slippery surfaces. These boots have 5 aluminum eyelets that are double secured to extra heavy-duty canvas. The N1B has a full-length zipper that runs all the way to the top, and the inside is gusseted to keep out the snow. The top of the boot also has a full-length drawstring. I replaced mine with leather for aesthetics and durability. So here's a couple of tips to help you get the most out of your Mukluks. Keep your feet dry at all costs. If your feet get wet, take the time to dry your boots and your insoles. Wear a thick, padded wool insole, preferably one with a reflective side to reflect that heat back up at your feet. Wear thick wool winter socks that are designed for cold weather. If you buy a pair and you're tempted to grease them with a waterproof grease, I will warn that I had a pair last year and I coated them really good with an oilskin reproof that you would put on your oilskin jackets, and it separated the sole from the canvas. So it effectively ruined my boots. I don't believe that they require that level of waterproofing. They're customizable with a little bit of effort. In my case, I customized mine with longer leather laces, but I've also had pairs with border trim sewn on, or you may even paint them because they are canvas. Most of the time they don't come with wool liners, but I found the wool liners that belong in them aren't very comfortable anyway. So what I do is I use the fitted wool liners from any pair of winter boots. The sizes range from small, medium, large, and extra large, and each of those has a bracket of foot sizes that it fits. They tend to run large, although you want them loose, you don't want them floppy. So some advantages, when compared to a traditional set purchased on the internet in a couple of $100 range, they're extremely cheap at anywhere from $30 to $50. They're super lightweight, and even if you're wearing mountaineering boots or alpine boots, they make an excellent backup and round camp boot when you're not actively trekking or mountaineering. They're extremely comfortable and warm. They go all the way to the top of your cab, so deep snow's not an issue. They clip very securely into snowshoes if you have adequate bindings. Let's not forget that they're based on a proven design that's been used for many, many years. They're easy to find and readily available at most surplus stores in cold regions, and if not, then you can get them at surplus stores online and even Amazon.com. A huge advantage is that they're comfortable to put on the next day. If you've ever tried to put your frozen boots on after a full day of trekking, when all that sweat is frozen into the liner, it is extremely uncomfortable and not anything that I would suggest. These, on the other hand, are super comfortable to put on in the morning because the liners are so easy to dry. Now, one of the best ways that I've found to dry the liners is to just heat rocks around your campfire to the point where they're just uncomfortable to touch, and then drop them down into your liners and let them steam dry. If the liners get extremely wet, wring as much water out of them as you can and then put them up somewhere so they can freeze. Once they're frozen, break them up and break all that ice out, and that'll remove a lot of the excess water that you can't wring out. Once that's done, put some hot rocks in them and watch the steam. Some disadvantages. They're a little bit floppy on the feet, but that airspace is required for heat retention. Unless you have very specialized bindings, you can't clip these into skis. They do suffer from a lack of ankle support, but they're not really meant to be a high activity boot. And probably the biggest disadvantage to them overall is that there's no precise sizing. When we're talking about military surplus, that makes it a lot easier for them to just issue them out when they're sized in brackets. So small, medium, large, extra large, that is it. If you don't fit into one of those categories, but you can always adjust that sizing slightly by wearing an extra pair of socks or tightening the shoe. So do you already own a pair of Air Force Mukluks? Share your experience, join the conversation, or start one. I'll go ahead and drop a link in the description, and full disclosure, it's an Amazon affiliate link, so if you purchase through it, Survivology 101 will receive a small commission. So that just about wraps up our view at the N1B Air Force Mukluk. In this video, we covered affordability, accessibility, and durability. We also covered the features in great detail, how to care for them in the field, and how to modify them to meet your specific taste. So if you found that information useful or mildly entertaining, why don't you go ahead and subscribe? You can also comment below if you got any questions about the N1B Air Force Mukluk. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bjorn, come on. Fall in.
So strong.